Hello, my friend. Welcome to Bold Conscious Connections. My name is Raju Panjwani, and I'm just thrilled to have you here. So this channel is dedicated to exploring the journeys of visionary leaders, entrepreneurs, who really dare to follow their dreams, their passions, and create really impactful businesses. So if you're looking to become an entrepreneur or otherwise seeking inspiration to elevate your career, well, you're in the right place, my friend. Let me say, why do I do this? It's because, like you, I had a career over 25 years, and at some point, my desire to follow my own path just took over, and I quit my job about 20 years ago now. So on this channel, what I do is we delve into strategies, mindsets, stories behind the success of those that have done this before, like I have. So what I want you to do is hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and join us on this exciting journey towards living boldly and consciously. So now let me just dive into this episode with you. I'm so excited today to welcome Dr. Sapna Sharma. She's an ophthalmologist, a physician turned counselor, life coach, motivational speaker. She's a TEDx speaker as well. She's an author of 2 books, Spiritual Parenting, Lessons from Our Children. She has 2 children. And another book was called For the Love of Me. And she's a counselor, guides people in pain and confusion, relationship issues, stress, illnesses, etc., etc. I'm sure we'll get into it. But so anyway, first of all, welcome to the show, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And so you're based in Nagpur in India. Funny, I was in Nagpur for 3 years during my school years. So it's a place I'm familiar with.
It's a small world.
It is a small world indeed. Yeah, we won't go into how we met, but here we are. So are you good with some questions around your journey and also some rapid fire at the end? How about that?
Perfect. Shoot.
Okay. So first of all, I always ask this question, all the credentials you have, awards you received, etc., will all be in the show notes. But first of all, I'd like to know who Sapna is, not what she does.
Girl next door. That's what I would describe myself. I'm just a girl next door who likes to dream a lot and live a lot.
So tell us more. How do you do that?
I guess I just believe that, I'm not just one person. We usually have these labels, he's a doctor, she's an engineer. So I feel we are much more than that, and every person has a lot more inside them. And that's what I've been doing, always exploring and, giving it a try. Whatever I believe that I am, I keep giving it a try. So explorer, you make a call. Some things works, some may not work. I keep giving it a try.
So the most important and the obvious one for me is, when, again, this goes back to what we do versus who we really are at the core as you're starting to talk about this. I mean, we cannot escape the fact that you were a doctor, an ophthalmologist. Yeah. You went through, grueling training in India, which is, I know it's hard. And you became a doctor and then you practiced as an ophthalmologist. And then you decided that, to change course. So what were those pivotal moments that led to that change?
I won't say exactly there were moments, because I believe that the age at which we are supposed to choose our careers, especially in India, it's like 15 or 16 years of age. When we have, we have no idea about any career or the world. And 2, we have no idea about ourselves, who I am and what I would want to. No idea at all. And I find it pretty absurd that you have to make a lifelong decision based on that age. So what came obviously at that age was the medical career. Because as an education, in India especially, parents also prefer either your child enters an engineering field or a medical field. That's the trend. So if you have scored good enough, you're doomed to be in one of those fields. And so that's how it happened. Doomed. Yeah, absolutely. Because see, most of the times when parents force you, then and they can see that, okay, they have this thing that, okay, my child is brilliant because he scored good in the high school. So it has to be one of these paths, Things are changing now, but there was a time when it was believed that intelligent people do not go for the arts or humanities or commerce. It's absurd, but then it was that time. Anyway, so I entered medical college always knowing that this is not what I want to do, but not knowing what I really wanted to do. So I went through the training and I would say that I'm a pretty sincere person. So whatever I start, I try to take it to some logical conclusion. So I went through the medical college training, got my first degree, MBBS, but all the time feeling, I want to do something else. That's when after my graduation, I was enrolled for my next degree, that post-graduation surgery. And I saw this ad in newspapers with it, air hostess wanted. I did that, yeah. I took a break of a year and I was flying for Air India International, flew over half of the world. Realized that is not what I wanted to do. Came back, completed my PG. And when you are studying in a medical college, if not anything else, one thing is sure to happen, that is you get married to a doctor. And then when two doctors are married, definitely you guys end up having your own hospital. So that's what I went to the practice, another 10 years trying to explore, trying to find out what I wanted to do. And that uneasiness went on increasing. I was always talking to everyone, this is not what I want to do. And then people would ask me, okay, what is it that you want to do? And I did not have an answer. Then I met someone who had started doing this, training programs. It was pretty new at that time.
Yeah.
For college students. They used to typically call it as the personality building program and all. So he said that, okay, you speak well, why don't you come and join me and see if you like it? So I started going with him to the colleges, all professional colleges, engineering colleges, architecture college, and interacting with the students. And I realized an amazing thing. 70% student in any college did not know why they are there. That's when it struck me, career guidance is something which is absolutely essential. And that's when the change started. I realized that I have to set up this whole thing called as career guidance, because we didn't have it in India at that time, and definitely not in central India. And I started as a career counselor and everything else followed. That's the journey.
Wow. So, certainly my audience is people who are in careers who are successful, but they feel unfulfilled, right? To the point you
Yeah.
make, whatever the career is. So it's either, given to us guided by the parents in well-meaning ways, but, because that's
Yeah.
all they know. And then it turns out that, we grow up to be in our 30s, and then suddenly your full personality is formed and you don't know, but this is for you or you realize, I'm good at what I'm doing, but it's just not what I'm content with. So it's very appropriate in the journey but not everybody's journey is the same, right? Everybody has their own. And then, other things happen in life. You get married and have
Yeah.
kids. How
Precisely.
was that as a challenge?
That is a big challenge, especially in India, since we do not have any social security system of any kind at all. We are
Right.
100%, it's like you earn, you save, you take care of yourself. So in that case, even if someone realizes at certain stage, this is not what I want to do, they do not usually have the luxury to change over. And so it was a tightrope walk, because I could not just, up and close the hospital, which I was running with my husband. So for 2 years, it was a huge thing, because by the time I had two kids and taking care of the hospital and taking care of the household, and also then working towards a new career. So yeah, for those 2 years, then acquiring new qualifications and learning and all of that. I guess for a long period of about 10 years, I must not have slept more than 3 hours every night. So yeah, you have to give something for something. That's why I said, it's not everyone is doing it.
Right. So are you also saying that entrepreneurship is difficult, or is that not everybody's cup of tea? Even though 70%, and this is still the case, by the way, 67% of the employees in the world in general, for all the studies, show that they're unsatisfied with what they do.
Yeah, because one, you don't get a paycheck at the end of the month. Two, while you're not earning, you're still investing money and your time, and money doesn't start coming in so early at an early stage. So that's the biggest fear that people have. That's why they don't want to let go of something which is there in their hand. And that's why people don't want, they're always waiting for, one fine day I'll have this much of saving, one fine day my kids will have finished education, and one fine day then I will do it. And it's a real thing, I mean, you cannot replace money with anything. So that is one of the major things. Secondly, at least in my part of the world, no one encourages change. Okay, because everyone likes
When you say
status
you're
quo.
part of the world, it's everywhere.
Yeah, good. That good to know then. Because see, it's everyone likes the status quo. If I'm not growing, you are not growing either. If I'm miserable, you are also miserable. Makes two miserable like wonderful to live. So when you are trying to do something different, you're not going to be encouraged. You are going to be actually pulled down by most of the people. So whatever little courage you do gather, it's usually sucked out of you. That makes it very difficult most of the time. And especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, people are going to tell you how it is not going to work and how it is not for us. It's not for people like us, and it's not going to work. So these three things put together, always it makes it difficult for people to take that decision, to take that plunge.
Well, so I focus only on this plunge because that's my entire life, okay? Because it's needling the punch, making
Right.
sure the punch and making sure there is a leap. Because ultimately you have to jump, right? You know you want to jump, but you still hesitate. So go back to the money aspect, because that seems to be the driver for most people. So do you think
Yeah.
that fear is justified, Sapna?
See, now again, depends. In India, like I mentioned, we do not have a social security system of any kind at all. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to take care of yourself, and if you have a dependent family, no one is going to feed you. There's no free lunches anywhere at all. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are a person who has a family and you don't have another source of income, I think that is to be considered. That can be worked out. There would be ways around it. There can be planning for it, because people do come to me for with their dreams about startups. And I say that
Sure.
no, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that, do you have your plans right?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So that's the crux of my coaching, right? The plan's right. I'm not suggesting to anybody that they should quit today and start a job.
Right.
No, I mean, start a career in entrepreneurship. No, I'm saying you already know that there's something inside of you that's burning to go express yourself in the form of a business. However, to the point that you're making, which is very valid, is that, the fear drives a lot of things, but on the other hand, you have to be practical. If you have a family,
Yeah.
etc., what do you do? So it's thoughtful, but are you saying that the joy of the other side, the entrepreneurship versus the fear, how do you deal with this so that this joy outweighs or the discontentment that you have in this job? How does this make it so strong that you will overcome anything, any hurdle?
So I'm going to say this something which absolutely goes with what you are doing, is that you need to talk to people who believe. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important if you want to overcome this fear and see what really is, that you do not talk to pessimistic people. You do not talk to people who are not experienced in this field. You do not talk to people who have given up somewhere in between. It's absolutely essential to be careful in this particular matter.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you need to seek out people, number one, who has done a change, someone who can be a coach or a guide, who understand what this journey is, because then you know that, okay, I can balance both. But if you're talking to the wrong people, your fear is going to be like way up here somewhere,
Right.
and you will not take the step.
So the wrong people are people who don't want to move and they're fine where they are, right? That's clearly not my people. I'm only speaking with people that are ready to make the jump, but just don't know how and where. That's all. Let's go back to balancing demanding roles while maintaining your own well being. So this podcast is called Bold Conscious Connections, but part of it is boldness. You spoke about the courage you need to have in one of the three things you said. So we can talk about courage. You already have the courage. You've done this, demonstrated it. In terms of the other side of it, the demanding, conflicting roles we all have, and maintaining the well being, what are your consciousness practices that you follow, Sapna, in your life?
See, one is, I would definitely say that belief in whatever you're planning to do or whatever you wish to do. That's the most important thing to begin with, because if you do not believe, then nothing else is going to work at that particular point of time. The
Mm-hmm.
belief is what is going to give you the strength to go through whatever changes you need to make it. Because, like I said, you need to go out of your way physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. You need to go out of your way, and it requires a lot of strength to not
Yeah.
back out, because some days are going to be good, some days are not. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, that for about 10 years, I did not sleep for more than 3 hours every night. That was my
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice on my part, because I had kids to take care of and I had a family to take care of.
Yep.
Are you willing to go through it? When I talk
Yep.
to most of the people and I share with them that, what are you willing to give up for
Mm-hmm.
whatever you are planning to? And if you are not
Exactly.
ready to get out of your comfort zone, it's not going to work. So that belief is the most important one. I do not think that I had more awareness of consciousness at that time. It came later, though. And with the change, I think I have adopted regular meditations, which has been
Mm-hmm.
going on for years. And eventually, when you actually understand the crux of meditation, sometimes you don't even need to sit down in a
Exactly.
particular pose. You are
That's right.
meditating even working, you're meditating while you're sleeping, when you're driving, you're still meditating. But that brings in a lot of awareness. And that
Mm-hmm.
awareness creates the platform on which you can deal with the uncertainties of entrepreneurship.
So well said. This is the life. This is the life that we are living here. Exactly. Awesome. So I'm going to go a little bit now into the actual work that you do. So can you share? I mean, you've got personal experiences, challenges that you've talked about that sort of informs your counseling practice, right? I assume. Can you share a story where your personal growth significantly impacted how you approached a client's need, for example?
One thing I can definitely say is, the can't happen word went out of my life. This is not possible is a phrase which disappeared from my life. because of this journey which I took. So when I am dealing with clients, I'm whatever they say, it's always like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely we can do that. And when people have commented that how come you say that yes to everything, it can be done, because I know and I believe that, and then people say that what if I fail? And so in my journey, I've learned one thing, that failure is not an absolute term. It's a very relative term, right? So for a person who starts something and does not take it to a logical conclusion, then they experience failure. But someone who continues, then something is going to happen.
Mhm.
Something is definitely going to happen. It's not going to not happen, you know.
Delve into that a little bit more, because you're a counselor and you're a coach, as am I, but I just want you to go a little deeper on that one. Something's going to happen. In other words, what are you saying? That an action creates something, right? A result.
Some effect is going to be there. There
Yeah.
has to be some outcome. If you
Yeah.
continue and persistently, most people do not have the patience. So it's an immature abortion of
Yes.
what they have started.
Mhm.
And that is what they call failure. And I don't think that's
Mm.
a failure. You haven't even taken it to that limit, For a simple thing that I can tell you is one simple principle that they say that, if you should not expect a result till 3 years minimum when you start a business. I mean, that's the basic of the rule.
Yeah.
Earlier they used to 5 years, now 3 years
Now
they're
it's
saying.
years. Yeah. Mm.
And most people are not aware of that. That's a very interesting thing. And people who do not plan, I have seen another thing, that many people believe that, this is the capital that I have.
Yeah.
And they are ready, they invest all of their capital at once. They do not have the 3 year sustenance plan, which is like, you have to keep on pouring money into the business for 3 years and you need your own sustenance money for 3 years. Where is that?
Sure.
And so because of that, within 6 months, when they do not get a return, that's when they close down. That's when they
Yeah.
stop. And that's when they believe that, it doesn't work. I'm a failure
And that
and it doesn't.
and that validates their belief, and they say, "See, it didn't work, and therefore, it's not going to
Yeah,
work for me. It's not my cup of
it
tea."
doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's what they start believing. And more unfortunate is that's what they keep telling other people, that, it doesn't work. Don't try. It's a waste. So that when I was working, I realized that, see, when I started with career counseling, that's the first thing. Like I said, there was no, in central India, in fact, in all of India, people didn't know of the word counselor. We only had that shrink or mad doctor kind of a understanding, either it's a psychiatrist or psychologist.
Yes.
But someone who can guide you along the path of the road of your life was that idea did not exist. For first 5 years, I only had to spend creating awareness in the society. Money was, of course, not coming for the first 5 years, and people would, give me weird looks, and they would say, "Why would anyone come and ask you what to do with their life?" Everyone
Mm.
knows. Everyone
Yes.
knows. So that 5 years which I was putting in, it's like planting a bamboo seed.
Yeah.
It's just going downwards, and you have no idea. It looks like nothing is coming out, and it's a waste. And then it shoots up.
Yep.
But that patience of 5 years, or whatever is the time required, is something, if you're not ready to wait, that's not going to work. So these are the things which people are not aware of.
So you obviously bring that into your sessions, is how you're describing this. Is that fair? Part
That's
of your personal experience, your journey also feeds
I
into the fact.
that, trust me. And those books which I have written, I have laid bare my own personal life out there. My book on spiritual parenting, I have written my own mistakes in bringing up my
Mm-hmm.
and the things that I was going through the life, and how I would get frustrated, and how I would maybe sometimes, even hit the kids, and I would break down, and everything I have written. And then after that, I've met so many people, women especially, who've said that, it seems like you're talking for us. And so they
That's
were
right.
more forthcoming. They were more forthcoming in meeting a counselor and discussing and saying that, okay, I am going through it. Otherwise, especially in parenting and in relationships, we still have that taboo kind of thing. I don't want to let anyone know that I'm a failure. When I talk about it, when I share it, it's just easier for people.
Awesome. So we'll put the links to the books. I assume they're widely available, right?
Yeah.
On Amazon or something like that,
Yes.
right? Okay. All right. So you've touched on this, the philosophical or maybe spiritual beliefs you have that shape your approach to the work that you do. How do you integrate these beliefs when addressing complex personal and professional issues with your clients?
I don't think you have to do that work, when the belief is actually there. This is what
Mm.
you live. It
Mm.
happens. It just happens. So whenever I'm dealing with anything, any particular issues that people are facing, I may suggest them something and they may agree with it by the end of it.
Mm.
But I often tell them, This is knowledge. This knowledge, you have to believe in this knowledge so much that it turns into wisdom. And then when that wisdom turns into realization, that's when it becomes a part of it.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. So the belief
I
wrong
think we're
enough.
talking the same language. It looks like we talk the same language. Jesus. So it's almost eerie. Maybe we're reading the same books and we have the same mentors. It seems that way. So what do you look forward to leaving in this world? We're all going to pass on. So is there a legacy that you intend to leave? Also, that ties into the question of, in these uncertain times that people have been navigating, the times are always uncertain in my view, but there's always something going on in the world that makes it more uncertain. Or like COVID, everybody talks about COVID all the time, or now something else is going to happen, or the economy is going bad, or meltdown happen, whatever happens, things always happen. But if these are more difficult times, or on the other hand, the technology is so in your hand that as you say, information is not knowledge, information is just available readily. Then if you get some skill sets or knowledge, then you apply it, that's when you get the wisdom. Generally, people are not aware of it, but they get scared. So in the face of all these uncertainties, what advice would you give to somebody who's either wanting to be an entrepreneur or wants to be a counselor or a consultant or something, in, let's say, the field that you're in?
I would say find a mentor. I would so strongly say find a mentor, because when we have so much of availability, why reinvent the wheel and spend so much of time and so many heartbreaks over the same thing? People have done it already. People have done everything, and then we, like you said, technology, we are connected to people across the world, so we can actually find our mentors anywhere wherever we want. And yes, if you have a hand to hold, it does help. It does help. So I personally believe that it doesn't make any sense to reinvent the wheel again and again just to prove a point. And investing in a mentor or a training program or a coaching program, it's an investment towards your entrepreneurship journey, and it should be looked at it that way.
And so it accelerates your growth. It shortens the learning curve. It just makes things, you're paying for speed, in other words, right? That's kind of what you're saying.
Yes.
Before we get to the rapid fire, and there's lots of these questions, and I could go on forever, as you know, in these questions, are there specific attitudes or skills that you believe in today's world are crucial for people out there? It doesn't have to be youngsters, but, given the evolving landscape of mental health, everybody talks about that, counseling, what advice would you give them?
One single thing which I feel underlines everything that's happening in the world today, and I believe that the world needs to get more aware of it, is self-esteem. I feel so sad that this word should be introduced in the vocabulary of children right from kindergarten. Yeah, and self-esteem is rooted in self-awareness, which is again absolutely largely missing. We have developed our self-esteem and our self-worth from what the world believes is the right and good. And that's a very sad thing, because no one fits into that. When you see that model who's like followed by 10 male admirers, she's a made up person. But I get my feedback from there, I'm not like her, and that puts me down. And then everything, whenever there is a story of a successful entrepreneur that's coming up, no one is focusing on the 10 other failures that the guy had before that.
Sure.
Everyone talks about that picture, and that's very unfortunate that we get our self-worth from that. If he's that and I'm not good enough, and I can't do this, he can't do that. So I feel every person should work with a counselor or a therapist or a coach on first building up their self-awareness and self-esteem.
Well, so this is a very important point because it's a foundational issue, right? So I personally, for instance, grew up in India and grew up with very, very, very low self-esteem. And it took me decades to go overcome that, because I didn't even know what that meant. But anything, I look for validation outside of me. Like if somebody believes that I look good and I'm doing something right, I needed somebody's validation. You cook something, you're constantly looking for validation. So this has been so ingrained in us. And I'm not blaming India or I'm not blaming the culture. I'm just simply saying that I think that's what you're saying, that self-esteem is something that it has to come from parents, right? Because when you're born into a world that already exists with all the systems and the processes that you're supposed to follow, the parents are doing the best. That's all they know. So there's nobody to blame. But the point is that how do you inculcate that, as you were saying? Everybody should, but how do you make that awareness right?
So right now, let's not go back to what the parents should have done. Okay, let's forget about that. So now, whatever your age is, you're an adult responsible for your own life.
So you're in your 30s or 40s.
Yeah, so you can still start working on it, and the basis of self-awareness, self-esteem is self-awareness. So it's not that self-esteem is mean, I suddenly start saying that, I'm the best in the world. No. Self-awareness is, I know this is good about me, I know this is not so good about me, I know this is what I really want to change, and this is what I really accept, and I don't care for what people say. I put it in a very simplistic form, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel very strongly that, if you realize it at any point of time, you should seek out a counselor, a therapist, or a coach who can help you work on self-esteem. And trust me, once you have done the work, it takes time. Once you have done the work, it's a liberation. It's an
Absolutely.
amazing liberation because it stops bothering you what people think about you. It
Mm-hmm.
stops bothering you whether you have done the right thing or not, or whether what impression other people are going to carry about you. And it's a liberation. Amazing
Yep.
it is. And then you can take any step forward. You're less afraid of failures after that.
Yes. How to feel free in a world that's always full of restrictions.
Yes.
That's my book.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what my book is. It says. Anyway, so are you ready for some rapid questions?
Let's try.
All right. The most surprising feedback you've ever received.
I don't think there has been anything surprising.
You're that self-aware. Okay.
Yeah. No, nothing surprising.
Okay. One word your clients use to describe you.
Comfortable?
Comfortable. Good. The biggest misconception about life coaching.
I don't need it.
Hmm.
I don't
So
need
good.
it. I know what. Yeah.
No, you got this figured out. Okay. Yeah. I don't need it. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Singing.
Ooh. But you're a good singer.
Uh,
I'm told.
I managed to sing a few lines, but yeah, I would really like to be music.
Okay. In the current trend in the study of psychology and other mental things that are going on in the world, what do you find promising?
I find that the younger generation is open to counseling. They are open to the understanding the fact that, okay, we cannot figure out everything ourselves. And, we can take help. We can ask for help. That's what I'm seeing in the younger generation. And it really gives me very good feeling because it wasn't so in my generation growing up.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. What's the last professional risk you took?
Going into partnership, I've
Partnership.
always been
Is it?
alone. I didn't went to go into practice partnership,
Mhm.
and it didn't work because I would say that maybe I'm not a business person. I'm a passionate counselor at heart.
Mm.
So maybe if I want to run a business, I'll need you, Raju. I'll need a coach to understand how to do that.
Well, I don't like to think of myself as a business coach, but people come to me for that too. Yes, absolutely. All right. Favorite quote or mantra you live by?
One day at a time.
Yay. Okay, awesome. One thing you do to reset after a tough day.
I work a lot on gratitude,
Hmm.
and it instantly brings me back to the reality. Helps me connect with the facts that my life is amazing. And
Beautiful.
once I know it again, because my all the time, all the minds are trying to tell people, that you're such a pathetic person. Your life is so pitiful. That's what the mind keeps on telling us again and again. And at such time, if I can remember my gratitude, and that suddenly reminds me when I start saying gratitude for every small thing, even
Hmm.
the fresh water in my shower, which half the world does not have, and I am suddenly
Yeah.
feel, oh, my life is amazing. Reset.
Well, because we all count what we don't have rather than saying, look
Right.
how far you've come. Look at the journey you've had rather than what I haven't done, I don't have. That sort of thing. That's amazing. Yes, gratitude is the gateway to living a life. The best part of writing a book.
To me, it gives me a lot of different ways to express myself. When I'm speaking, it is a limited time to it. When I'm making videos or anything, it's a limited time to it. But when I'm writing, it's a book. It can be as big as I want and it can be as small as I want. And I can be here 1 minute and I can be there 1 minute. It just lets me be.
Great. Okay. If you weren't doing this counseling work, what would you be doing?
I wish singing.
Mm. Looks like singing
Singing
is your passion.
Absolutely. If I do get another birth, I would like to be born as a proper singer, who knows
Opera.
music.
Yeah. All right. This is not meant to end on a serious note. What's the one change you hope to see in the mental health field?
More awareness, more awareness among people to ask for help. more awareness among people to understand that when someone is talking about mental health, it is as serious as a physical health issue. And even more than that, I would like the world to understand that, very small part of mental health issues needs medicines. Most of it does not. And if only I am very willing to take the responsibility of my own happiness and my own life, I won't need medicines. It's quite possible. Unfortunately, most of the people are trying to take shortcuts. I am depressed, I need antidepressant. I have anxiety, I need anxiety. Why do you have anxiety? There's a percentage wise, it's a small number when it's a chemically induced depression.
Yes.
But most of the other time, it is coming out of some existential issues that you're facing.
Yes.
And I really wish we can reduce the use of psychiatric medication.
So well said. Listen, I could go on. I have tons of other questions I have prepared for, but we'll leave that for another time. I really appreciate you being here, and speaking of gratitude, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. And I want to just end in gratitude as well. And in that same vein, I'd always like to ask my guest, was there anything that you discovered in this call we've had for the past, let's say, 30 minutes or 40 minutes? Is there something you discovered?
I just discovered another person who maybe thinks like me and who wants to promote the things which I want to promote in this world. A lot of love for self. Yeah. So, thank you so much.
All right. Well, maybe somebody who's listening still will say, bring her back. So maybe we'll
always, anytime. Be a pleasure.
All right. Take care. All the best. And we'll talk to you soon. Yeah. Take care. Thank you, my friend, for tuning in to another episode of Bold Conscious Connections. If you really enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up, please, and subscribe for more inspiring stories and insights from top entrepreneurs and leaders. So that button is right below here. And also hit the notification bell, that thing next to subscribe, so you'll never miss another episode and any of our latest content that I post, usually every week. I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, so drop them in the comments below. I would really love to hear more about what I'm doing and maybe bring you something that's more suitable for what you like and other things that you might want to learn about. So join our vibrant community of individuals who are out there making a difference. Okay? Stay tuned for more amazing conversation that will inspire and empower you. And until next time, remember, live boldly and consciously, my friend.